Chelsea, with everybody back, we'll go ahead and get started. Chelsea, if you'll start with the training bureau budget, let's do that one first, and then we'll go to EMS.
Okay.
Council, that's on page 63 of your packet.
So with the training budget, I left it's identical to last year. So we purchased a mannequin, like a training mannequin, and everything's in good shape as far as our equipment for the training institute. So I did not change that budget at all. It's going to remain the same as it was last year, which would be $18,500.
Great, and then Chelsea, on the training personnel line item, when is that typically paid? Right now, there's nothing that's been expended out of that fund. Is that paid, will that be paid when the trainings take place?
Yeah, so we have had a contract with Steve Young as an instructor. So he's been charging per class, or like as a full class, he's not getting paid per day that he's there, so he charged a set amount. So for this advanced class that he's doing, he charged $2,000. And then we've had to bring on some other training personnel. We have been trying to do it though as a set whole amount instead of an hourly amount, because does save us money by doing that. So, and then one of our classes was the instructor was wanting to do that as his own time to volunteer that. So we have saved some money on that. But moving forward next year, for this next year, we're going to have another EMT class, we're going to have another advanced class, we're going to have supplemental instructors, and then the class sizes so far we have had a lot more interest, and the sizes of the class are bigger, so we're going to need additional help. So we haven't spent that money for this year, but I expect next year we will have those more expenses with instructors.
Okay, thank you. Any questions on this part of the budget?
Yeah, $500 to cover what you're wanting to do.
Yes.
Okay, hearing no other questions, let's move on to the
Just
budget.
on my processing real quick. On this training program, it's partially funded by fees for the course, right?
Yes.
So, the amount I was looking for that, would be in there, but, how much revenue did it bring in this past year?
For 2021 or 2022?
How much?
For 2021,
22's today. But if you got 21, that was a full year.
I believe it was around $9,000.
I can look up in the deposit email that,
$8,731 for 2021.
So the goal is to eventually get this self-sufficient.
yes,
Is that correct?
yes.
Okay.
So the EMT class that we are putting on, that will be starting in August, will be with a textbook $975 and without a textbook $825. So the textbook obviously is an expense, but our goal is per class to have 15 to 20 people per class, and that expense would then go towards like our instructor fees and all of that we would have. And then also you have to take into consideration the class that we're starting in August, they're going to pay for that class. They have an initial $200 deposit, and then we allow payments throughout the rest of the class. So we might get this chunk of money when the class first starts, but it doesn't end until January. So, that money is going to be spread out and then might run into another year, the next year if the class goes between. If we start an advanced class, in the fall, we're going to have the payments spread out. It's going to go to different years.
Michelle, is this Non-reverting fund? Okay. So whatever goes in can't come back out. It has to stay there. So it should accrue.
Yeah,
At some point in time, you'll reach your goals have been self-sustaining.
yes.
Okay. That's all.
Anything else? Okay, let's move on to the EMS budget, page 63. Actually, 61.
So, starting at the very top, there was some salary adjustments. There has been some changes in the job responsibility due to the CSR requirement. And so I'll let Todd talk about that a little bit.
Okay. I'm by no means an expert on this CSR bill, but the way I understand it is that the director or any ambulance service director has had to take on additional responsibilities due to a change in the law. And if you'll look, it'll explain it in detail. I'm just going to give you an outline on the last, I believe it's the last piece of information in the packet that Chelsea gave you. And it was a law enacted, and I have a suspicion that the pharmacist lobbyist kind of got tired of this and didn't want the responsibility of signing off on these meds themselves, due to liability reasons, which is understandable. So it's been thrown back on the medical directors. So all the drugs that are administered through us, that the Washington County Ambulance Service administers, have to be inventoried, updated, and naturally they have a certain shelf life, and that in itself, the shelf life, and making sure that you don't have outdated drugs in itself could be a liability issue. So there's a lot of responsibility that goes along with these drugs. So this has all been kind of dumped in our lap. Used to, we were not responsible for this. Someone at the local hospital took care of this for us at no charge. So since they are not doing it anymore, I guess if you can look at it this way, it's going to cost us money because, in my opinion, with this additional responsibility, whoever's doing it, in this case it's our director, my opinion is that they should be compensated because basically they're assuming the liability initially, in a sense. Now, we have the insurance for these things, but let's be realistic. It's all on the shoulders of the person who is taking care of the drugs. That means that they're responsible for making sure that they're locked up, that only certain people are allowed to handle them. And what I just mentioned a second ago about the inventory, the dates. So because of this, I honestly believe that the person administering these for us deserves to be compensated extra.
So the CSR, it is the Controlled Substance Registration and DEA number. Right now, we are going off of the pharmacist at St. Vincent for this. We use their number to have narcotics, and everything is very regulated. But we have no ties to the hospital when it comes to, them and us. They allow us to use it. But because of that, a lot of hospitals, especially these small hospitals, are taking on so much responsibility to have us and narcotics out and about, but they have no real responsibility over us. And so because of that, the state of Indiana adopted this, that the EMS service has to have their own controlled substance registration, DEA number. So because of that, the responsibility that the pharmacist carries, I will not be responsible for. And any audits, they can come in at any time, request to see any of our stuff for that. We will also be storing narcotics at our station. Right now, they are on the ambulance in a locked box and they have a fob. But as far as the station, we are not storing any narcotics in the station. When we use a narcotic and we run out or a narcotic expires, we take everything to St. Vincent. They go through, do all the paperwork. He has all of the paperwork that he has to fill out, that then he keeps a record for however many years, and he gets nothing for that. But he is no longer going to be able to do that due to this law. So I included that whole entire packet, and that kind of explains more about that. But that is the change for that. You will also notice that there has been quite a bit of changes in our payroll. So there has been a lot of discussion from the hospital about us taking transfers back for them. So in the packet that I gave you, the first page will show our salaries and then what the schedule is right now with their 24/48 schedule, what yearly, if they did not take any Kelly days or anything like that, their amounts. I did put in for a 5% raise, and so the second page will show where supervisors, paramedics, advanced EMTs, basic EMTs would be with the salary adjustment. So on the third page, you'll see our 911 run volume. You can see from 20 to 21, we've been staying, we're pretty close. If you compare 2018 to 2021, we're at around 500 runs, more runs a year. I did include the transfer run volume from 2018 and 2019, the last 2 years that we did transfers, and then the transfer number I got from St. Vincent that they transferred last year. So our run volume, including transfers, last year, if we would have done the 770, would have put us at 3,562. We had tried the third ambulance in 2018, and we had a 500 run difference in that, so our run volume is going up. The other supply line, or the other lines that I adjusted was the medical supplies and fuel. Those are the biggest two expenses that we are having. I know that you have a record of what's been spent to date. With our CSR application, we have to have a more secure system to store the narcotics. So there was like a $12,000 charge to get the safes that we have to store those in. So if you notice what's been spent so far out of our line item, that does include an additional $12,000 that we're not going to have last year. So I know it's going to look, when you look at it, that we're over the halfway, but we did have that one-time expense that we're going to have from that, so that's what that is. And then the fuel expense, I was trying to not only account for the fuel prices that we have now, but also the fact that if we're doing these transfers, that our fuel expense is going to go up. So this year we had in our line 58,000, and I put for 23, 80,000. So to get the third truck for the transfers on the next page, you'll see what is a modified third truck schedule, or a modified third truck cost at the current rate, and then what it would be with the 5%. When I did the budget, I included the 5% in that for the modified third truck cost. So to operate 6 people at a 24/48 schedule would put us at, including FICA, PERF, and insurance, would put us at $419,064. So I went back to see, okay, what can we do to cut that amount, the full-time amount down, and try to keep people out of overtime. So from 8 to noon is our slow period. So I put the first 4 hours a day would be covered on an on-call basis. So then we would do 2 people from noon to 10, and then from 10 PM to 8 AM, we do another 2 people. So they would have 50 hours a week, 4 people would. And then on the weekends, we would cover those with part-time, and those would stay up at 20 hours, and 20 hours on the truck, and then for the long call. So I did the total for all of that. That is $304,166. So it would be about a little over $100,000 difference from the 6 to 4. I also included on the next page what our average revenue that we were getting per transfer. Jim Freeman at Ambulance Billing stated that in 2018 our average was $447.79. So when I use the numbers that I was able to pull, if we stayed at the 447, that includes what it would be 2018, 2019, and 2021 as potential revenue from getting transfers back. I also included in the packet, you will see there's going to be a change in 2023 for the Medicaid reimbursement. It's going to be closer to the Medicare rates. So I included what those rates are, and that's this paper in your packet. We have discussed a per diem amount from the hospital. They cannot give a lump sum, so it would have to be per transfer basis. And it would be a staggered system, potentially, is what we're thinking, but that is not anything finalized. So $100 for local nursing home transfers, $150 for less than a 50-mile radius, and $200 for over the 50-mile radius. I did give a little comparison. If we did that in 2021, the hospital would be at $119,000. If we did there was 692 transfers that were less than 50 miles, and there was 78 that was over 50 miles. So that is how I came up with that. And the last page is gonna just show a little bit about what that CSR application is in the packet. You will notice that on the debt service line for my budget, that has went down, the 55 to 34. That should be paid off 23, so then we wouldn't have that expense. So that 23 should be the last year. I think my uniform line, I put an additional $500, but everything else is just payroll, medical supplies, and fuel.
When does these go into effect?
I included that. You'll see this overview of 2022 session legislation. The HEA 1112 is that reimbursement rate, and it will be coming into effect July 1st of 23.
23,
Yeah, July 1st.
6 months into the year.
Yes.
And you may have said it, although I missed it. Did you, in your computations, did you take any test runs on the transfers, implement any of these policies to see what your new revenue would be under this?
No, I just put what we went from 2018, like the amount that we were in, but I haven't pulled anything like that.
So those numbers don't reflect any of these.
No.
Now, given that, well, once you get into it, what I found out was what you done one year, you were within 10 points either or way the next year.
Yeah.
That's where they got around. And you give us a lot of information, and I haven't read through it, got through half of it, but I have some.
Okay. Sorry.
But anyway, would you be kind enough, and I say this in the fondest of way in your spare time, run a couple tests on how much that would improve over what you projected where we are now.
Okay.
Just we're transitioning from this to this in less than a year. And what I'm hoping to see is an increase in revenues over expenses, because we may lose some ground getting to here. But what I'd like to have a little inkling of, how fast will we make it up over the next 3-4 years with these numbers versus where we are now.
Okay,
Makes
yeah,
sense?
yeah. Because I know that whenever Jim gave me the 447, that's obviously from 2018. Like, a lot has happened, it's 2022. So I know that some of those rates and amounts have changed, and just us making sure that like paperwork is done correctly and submitted, that all factors into us being able to bill, you know, that stuff has to be done for us to bill at a higher rate, so.
And not going to question Jim Freeman. I guess I am going to question. If I'm remembering correctly, which doesn't mean much, he gave you 477. You know, when we done the transfer in, boy, 355 seems more like what I come up with at the time for that transfer. Now, that's 4 years ago. I don't know if we've improved on our increase, got an increase. I didn't think we got any real big increases from Medicaid and Medicare over the past couple of years. I don't think we have. So,
This is the most significant we've had in a while.
oh yeah. Yeah, I just looked some of that. I'm hoping to see the ability to spread expenditures versus receipts. Because those numbers look like they might have the potential to put a water gap in. So, if you take a little time, project this bit. Because on your transfers, I guess I've always been pro take care of the people in the county,
Yes,
okay? Not everybody agreed with me, but I said, we'll make funds, talk about the money later, type deal. But, to what I'm looking at here, I think there'll be, we're just going from Medicaid back up to Medicare. You're talking 31 versus 45%. Well, that's a pretty big gap, because I think we do have several Medicaid
we do,
recipients. So, gosh, that close the gap.
yeah.
So if you don't mind doing that,
I-
appreciate it.
I want to be like very clear, we do not have a contract signed with St. Vincent right now, but I will tell you that over the weekend, we did 3 runs for seals one day, and we did 2 the other, so, I don't foresee them giving us a lot of notice, and that's why whenever in this budget, I just wanted to go ahead and put that in there, the potential for the transfers, because I feel like we are close to getting those back, and, but I do not have anything, a signed contract with them yet, but that is why you will see that in there, because I'm trying to prepare, because I think it will be soon, and we have had a lot of discussion, so.
Sounds good.
Chelsea, would it be possible for you to give us some projected numbers of what your budget would look like if you did not take on the transfers?
Yeah, so if you take the, it would just be the minus the $304,166. If you go to the modified third truck cost with the 5% raise and you subtract that from the projected budget, that's what that will be without that's what the budget would be proposed without that.
Would it be possible for you to go through each line item and put what each line item would be without those additional?
Yes.
Okay,
So you're
that would be
saying
helpful.
You're 1.9, a little over that. That's got transfers in it.
Yes,
So if you back out to 300, you're almost right back.
yeah, so, let me see. yeah, it would be, I'm sorry, I should have put that. Yeah, it would be actually a little less because we lost some of the expenses that we had, like some of the funds, there was some cushion that was in there before, so,
Well, in your debt services.
yeah.
So I'm looking at, your expenditures for this year on your appropriations. You just about a little over halfway through your numbers, where you are over at. Right, but I don't know when this was printed out. When was this sheet printed out?
Less than a month ago.
June.
June 20th.
So it was, damn near a full 6 months.
Yes.
So I try to keep everything else really close, but like the only thing that really was changing was that we are getting the 2 new ambulances. So I was hoping that, you know, with the maintenance line, if we were to need to move anything, you know, we are keeping our maintenance line what it was, just to any unforeseen circumstances with our trucks. But we are in pretty good shape with that, and so we spent on-call, if you see, let me see. So on the bottom page of the modified third truck cost at the current rate, we spent $36,000 on on-call last year. With us having that third truck up, we're not gonna have, you know, we're not gonna have that expense of the on-call 24 hours a day, because we're not gonna need that with the third truck. So we're gonna have we'll have the $9,000 for on-call, so that kind of saves us, what, $27,000. So we are saving some there by getting the third truck, so it kind of does balance some out, but if we have the third truck, we would not be running an on-call the whole time, so.
I'm gonna pay you a compliment, and I don't always do this. I like for you to thank you. That's all I'm gonna tell you. Because you're going right where I was looking for somebody that would do what you're doing. So I appreciate your efforts.
Thank you.
But I do.
All right, council, do you have any other questions for Chelsea?
I just want to say thank you for bringing in numbers that include the truck, because we do have to publish that, so I would rather you bring it in high, and then if we get to take it back down, we can. That way the taxpayer out there is not being misled in any way on what's being spent. Everybody can see and clearly where it's going. Thank you for that.
I might also say, during my day, because now I gotta spend the rest of the night going through this and getting all down. But anyway, that's not a problem.
Okay.
It's just time.
So Chelsea will have a blank schedule on Thursday built in for any time we need to call department head back. So that would be a day if we have questions for you then, which is likely after Ben has done his reading that we will bring you back.
Okay.
Also in regards to raises and salary adjustments, thank you for advocating for your staff, and also Todd, thank you for talking about the changes in duties and responsibilities. This is likely a tough, it's going to be a tough budgeting process for us. We're going to do what we can. We want to make sure our employees know they're recognized and valued. It's a balancing act, but we certainly thank you for bringing that to our attention too.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Chelsea, I got one more request.
Yeah.
Can you pull off the old numbers for me,
Yeah,
if you will, that way I can compare them?
yeah.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, guys. Great.
Thanks. Thank you. Do you think it would be necessary to talk to Jim a little bit about that difference in those two numbers?
I'm gonna use my number.
Okay.
Oh. Now, somewhere, I've either got the information or Todd's got it, that's got it written down. I think I give him a lot of that.
Somewhere.
And no, I was thinking is, we done a drill on transfers and we took the receipts and when I used my divide by, but I put everything in when we got paid. I didn't say, take the runs we got paid for, which is what I think he done. Okay? That's how he got his number.
Right.
I can almost guarantee. But I used all the runs. The ones we didn't get paid.
So your number's gonna be lower
What I
because,
divided by
yeah,
was a bigger
the
number,
bigger number.
Average.
because I had that expense.
Yes.
He likes to do the runs you got paid for, past history. I think you'll find it.
That's a good point. Okay, anything else, council? Okay, Michelle, do we recess or adjourn? Okay, all right.
You can adjourn. I ain't coming back.
Okay, all right, we will recess and reconvene tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. We'll see you all back here and get a full night's rest so we can hit it hard tomorrow.
At 10 o'clock, right?
Thank you.
Gee,